You're listening to Thursday Night AMP on the Angry Marks Podcast Network.
As I play my air guitar like a New Japan star, the licks of the AC/DC wannabe song ring us into Thursday Night AMP. My name is Stevie J. I have many fine people on the line. Let me start with my regular co-host, Jason Harland, a.k.a. The Great Sudoku.
Hey, Angry Marks, great week in New Japan Pro Wrestling this week. We'll get to cover that all for you here tonight.
Oh, we'll cover that, and we'll cover a lot more, because it's a very newsworthy week in both the world of New Japan and the universe of WWE. Joining us to help talk about all of that is our good friend and compatriot, the one and only, the lovely and talented Abbey.
Good evening, everybody.
Thanks for joining us, Abbey. It's 2 weeks in a row now, but it's a very good 2 weeks for you to be here.
This is true.
As you said, it's not like we're not going to have anything to talk about. Oh, shucks, there's nothing to discuss.
I know, it's been kind of quiet this week. I don't know what everybody's, all up in arms about.
It's been such a boring, uneventful week in New Japan. Yeah, I don't know what we're going to talk about tonight.
I don't know, it's been so quiet.
Just so quiet, nothing going on. In fact, we'll have to get Jordan Garver in here in his parrot shirt to liven things up. But no, wait. We've got Wrestle Kingdom 10 to talk about. Well, shit, why don't we get to that? Jason, the floor is yours.
Sure, and our producer, Killer Kev, also watched this live and was chatting with me on Facebook, and I was live tweeting, and Abbey was live tweeting. Wrestle Kingdom 10, this show reminded me of why I am a wrestling fan. This brought it, and we'll start off with the pre-show. We'll talk about the New Japan Rumble, which a little bit gimmicky, kind of like a gimmick battle royal, but right off the bat, we had Yoshi Fujiwara show up, and that did not suck. He started the match off with Jushin Liger. What a way to start off the show. Cheeseburger came in, and boy, by the time he was leaving, by the end of New Year's Dash, Cheeseburger was over with the fans of New Japan. ROH's Cheeseburger. They were chanting his name. The Japanese fans, they were chanting his name.
And for those who are not familiar, this is the same Cheeseburger from Ring of Honor.
Yes, the same guy.
ROH's Cheeseburger with the cheeseburger hat who throws plastic cheeseburgers into the crowd, who Matt Stryker says is 125 pounds soaking wet cheeseburger.
Well, that's how he got the name in the first place, was everybody thinks he should eat more.
So eat some cheeseburgers. And boy, he showed some fighting spirit in the matches he was involved in, including the Battle Royal. We had Hiro Saito come back and make an appearance in the Battle Royal. Who else came as a surprise in this one? Shiro Koshinaka came, and he and Taguchi were dueling ass bump people. I'm sure Abbey loved that spot.
Yeah, that was surreal. Cheeseburger was surreal. Kabuki showing up and then getting disqualified was surreal, because nobody gets disqualified in New Japan.
The most surreal thing of the match, though, was Bullet Club's music hitting and not knowing who's coming out, and who should come out wearing a Bullet Club t-shirt other than the legendary Haku.
Yes, King Haku.
Yeah, I tweeted that he should have gone backstage and grabbed one of Nakamura's crowns and come out in that. That would have been awesome. But yeah, Haku did not come with crown as illustrated. He did come to the ring. He did get tapped out by Tenzin, which seemed really weird, as the American commentary team was trying to sell him as the legit badass that he is, and that kind of ruined that sell. But, go figure. Yeah, the great Kabuki showed up, and he did get disqualified for breathing green mist, which makes no sense because Bushi can do it and it's not a disqualification, but the Great Kabuki does it and it is.
But he did it right in front of the referee.
I want to say that the reason they can still call Haku a legitimate badass is just because he can still go out there and throw chops and take bumps. That at his age, that makes him a legitimate badass.
He can, and then he went the next night too in mixed tag action, so it was good to see it wasn't just a one-off. Even if it's a two-off, it's good to see Haku back in the ring.
Right. The fact that guy can do anything at his age is a miracle in itself, so kudos to him.
Well, and that definitely works for Haku because all he's got to do is, throw chops and some elbows and some forearms. He doesn't have to bump. And
right. He could just go out there and be a stiff badass like he used to be in the WCW and WWF days.
Yeah, and that works, on any level in Japanese wrestling. I mean, watching Great Kabuki out there working, watching Fujiwara. I mean, Fujiwara is a scary looking dude at his age. I mean, he doesn't have like most of the muscle tone is like gone. So he's got like these stick arms and these stick legs and this body with all this wrinkled skin just kind of hanging off of him. And he just goes out there and just stiffs the shit out of everybody and throws them down to the mat and puts them in the armbar. And it's great.
Exactly. I wouldn't want to be put in a Fujiwara armbar by that man. There's a reason it's named after him.
Well, that and he's got that head like a rock. He busts people open with that head.
And by the way, in case I didn't introduce him, interjecting, that's our producer, Killer Cam, who you'll hear from time to time. Follow him on Twitter at Camnet. But please, let's go on with the pre-show battle.
So yeah, this was the pre-show battle. You're mentioning the hardness of Fujiwara's head, and Cheeseburger, I believe, tried to headbutt him at one point to very little avail, I should say. Oddly enough, Jado ended up winning this one, and when it was down to Jado and Taguchi, I figured Abbey's prediction of Taguchi winning this one was going to come true, but it just seems odd that you have the Noah Booker and Jado winning the New Japan Rumble.
Well, this is straight out of Vern Gagne's playbook. When you're the booker, put yourself over.
But he's not the booker in New Japan. He's the booker in Noah. I mean, that'd be like Vern Gagne putting himself over in World Class.
Dude, we all know Noah is pretty much part of New Japan anyway.
We'll get into that a little later in the show too. But yeah, they are owned by the same parent company. Jado ends up winning. He eliminates Taguchi. They were the last two in the ring, and Jado wins. And then after that, we are treated to a truly bizarre spectacle of tripping on acid proportions, as there's a preview we get with this little dancing girl and a stripper Barney Rubble and this poop looking ET creature that rivals, like, if you've ever seen the movie Nuki, which is like a cheap knockoff of ET, maybe our good friend Seth Draken, who does that bad movie blog, has seen Nuki. Think of like Nuki, but like Dookie. That's what this ET looking robot cat thing from Doraemon or however you pronounce it is supposed to be, but that was weird.
Weird is not the word for what that was. That was like an episode of The Twilight Zone in the middle of Wrestle Kingdom.
I'll go one step further. That was like an episode of The Scary Door.
I sat there watching that for about 5 minutes. I was like, what in the hell is this, and why is it on my television screen?
I was tweeting, I swear I didn't drop acid while I was watching this. I swear.
Everybody was disappointed that Makabe and Tanahashi were not out there in fuzzy loincloths dancing around. They were on the screen doing it, but they weren't out there on the stage.
No, yeah, they did have them up on the screen in their caveman fuzzy loincloths. And you wanted to see Tana dance around in a loincloth or Makabe?
No, but if I got to watch that shit, I might as well see the whole damn thing.
She wants the full Monty, not the half.
Ooh.
Yeah, don't be saying full Monty and Makabe in the same sentence, or even Tana for that matter. I mean, no.
This is a good point. I don't want the full Monty from Togi Makabe. No, thank you.
The Magic Makabe?
Oh,
no.
You could put Ishii in there, too. Have a real nice show.
Oh, no.
Images nobody wants in their head. But
they're already there.
You might as well say Tomo Akiyama giving the full Monty, because I don't want that either. Oh
boy, I'm sure. Yeah, put Fujiwara in there too. That would be just lovely.
Oh my god,
complete Monty. No thanks.
Talk about loose, floppy skin. Oh my god.
Oh my lord.
Hashtag Japanese wrestlers we don't want to see strip.
We have gone completely off the rails, Jason. Get us back on track.
Let's steer this straight back on, because the first match of Wrestle Kingdom 10 was a fatal four-way, or a four-way match between Red Dragon, Matt Sydal and Ricochet, Roppongi Vice, and the Young Bucks. And for me, the spot of this match came right before the finish, where Ricochet and Matt Sydal both hit simultaneous shooting star presses onto Roppongi Vice. That was awesome. But we do have new tag team champions. Red Dragon ended up dropping the belt to the Young Bucks, who pinned Rocky Romero following more bang for your buck.
I would have been happy.
Anything you want to add?
I was going to say, I would have been happy if anybody else other than the Young Bucks had won this match.
I like the Young Bucks. I don't get everybody's, maybe I'm like the only person that does. I didn't necessarily want them to win this. I wanted Roppongi Vice to win, but if they weren't going to win, I did want the Bucks to win.
I'm in Abbey's camp there. I had my Roppongi Vice t-shirt on that I made myself. I had my custom-made Roppongi Vice shirt on for Wrestle Kingdom 10, cheering them on. They did a hell of a job. But yeah, I mean, if they can't win, I don't mind the Young Bucks. I'd rather have them than a team that is thrown together like Sydal and Ricochet, with Ricochet going back to be Prince Puma anyway in Lucha Underground. So yeah, I don't want them being champions. Red Dragon, I see them more as an ROH tag team than I do a New Japan tag team. So if it's going to be anyone but Roppongi Vice, I'm glad it was the Young Bucks.
You know, given that analysis, I can go ahead and support Young Bucks in that position then, especially when you get on to the next match we got.
Oh yeah, the next match, we had the never open weight 6-man tag team, newly created 6-man tag team championship match.
Yes,
we had
new for New Japan and for Wrestle Kingdom. First time ever.
Titles that nobody asked for or wanted. We had a team of...
Wait. I wanted these titles. I like 6-man titles.
You want the Freebird titles? Okay. Well, Stevie
I'm
asked
a big fan of Freebird titles. Yes, this was right up my alley.
I like this too, simply because of the numerous amount of multi-man tag matches they've got in New Japan. At least now they kind of make sense. Right, they have something to fight for.
Right, there's a reason to have them.
And again, I'll say more about this later, but the match we had at Wrestle Kingdom 10, we had Bullet Club, a team consisting of Bad Luck Fale, Tama Tonga, and Takahashi taking on Abbey's spirit animal, Toru Yano, with Jay and Mark Briscoe.
And I think Takahashi is my spirit animal, so...
See, the thing that I didn't like about this, and I actually got a nice little viral thing on Twitter going for a little bit, was Takahashi came out, but he had a valet with him, but it wasn't Mao. And I tweeted, we want Mao. And then the whole we want Mao thing was exploded on Twitter. And Mao responded to a handful of us that wrote that and said, thanks guys. I wish I was there too. So that was pretty cool. I don't know if she speaks enough English to come on the show, but I did invite her to come on. So that would be cool if Mao would come on the show and talk some New Japan with us.
I am totally in favor of that. That would be awesome.
I was also saying that Abbey and I should apply for Matt Stryker and Kevin Kelly's job, and then Mao or Taka Michinoku could be our Yoshitatsu to translate stuff.
Okay, as long as we're talking about that, let's just do a brief aside before we continue with the match. What did you think of the commentary?
I didn't even listen to it.
Brutal. Yeah, Abbey didn't watch the English language commentary. Yoshitatsu was definitely, I loved Wrestle Kingdom 10, the 1 week spot of it. Yoshitatsu. Get rid of Yoshitatsu. Bring Taka Michinoku in. He could do a better job.
I thought for somebody to bridge the gap between WWE and New Japan, I think he was the right guy for the job.
Well, I mean, I've heard he didn't do a good job or a great job, and at least, unlike Matt Stryker, he had the damn balls to get on social media and apologize for anything he might have done wrong. Whereas Matt Stryker basically told people who didn't like his commentary to go eat a dick.
Well, Matt Stryker just makes things up out of whole cloth, which at least I won't accuse Yoshitatsu of doing.
Yeah, I mean,
no, he did.
I don't know. Ahead, I mean, Yoshi. I think the main problem with Yoshi is just he didn't have that same level of chemistry that Stryker and Kevin Kelly had.
Kevin, I like that.
Hey, that's right. I Mike Adamley did. Great job.
Jeff Harvey.
Exactly.
WrestleFest.
There really was not any chemistry with Yoshitatsu there, and just so many times they tried to throw it to Yoshi for a commentary, a thought, or something, and it's like it took him a while to think about what he wanted to say, where anything going on between Kelly and Stryker, it was just on their feet. It was lightning quick. It was immediate. Their commentary worked very good. Just with Yoshi, it was just so much slower, and it kind of felt like, he was kind of holding it back a little bit.
He was. I mean, they were lobbing him softball comments that he could have taken and run with, but I mean, I don't feel that he was sandbagging it. I just don't feel that his grasp of the English language is good enough to have him on an English language broadcast, even as a third man, because even with these softballs that were being lobbed to him, he had no idea what to do with them.
So I guess we just needed Sho Funaki out there instead.
That would have been awesome, yeah.
Honestly, I don't know if Sho Funaki would have been much better.
No, Sho Funaki always played up not being able to be fluent in English, but the guy is pretty fluent. I've interviewed him. I know.
I mean, look at this. I mean, even if he had to fake it, I mean, he could still get a pop from the English crowd or the English fans at home when he's asked a question. If he was stuck or something, all he'd have to say is, indeed.
Indeed.
Instant pop.
Okay, sorry to take us away from the matches to the commentary, but I just wanted to address that real quick before we moved on. Back to the six-man tag.
The six-man titles. Yeah, Abbey is the true purist, watching only the Japanese commentary, so my hat is off to you for that, Abbey. You didn't have to suffer through any of Yoshitatsu, but the highlight of this match, which would kind of come into play again the next night at New Year's Dash, Toru Yano tried to get the Tokyo Dome to chant break, but they were having none of it. He tried that rope break spot, and the fans at Korakuen Hall loved it. The fans at Tokyo Dome were kind of lukewarm to it. That was kind of my highlight from the match. We had the team of Toru Yano, Jay Briscoe, and Mark Briscoe winning the match when the Briscoes pinned Tama Tama following a Doomsday device.
I was kind of surprised at that one, especially if anybody had watched the pressers from the night before, which I was up for like basically 72 hours with New Japan, so I watched all of that, and Tama just went high and to the right, saying basically that New Japan had forgotten about him and he had never won a title, and kicked over the table and stalked out of the ring, and everybody was kind of like, didn't really know what was going on with him.
I think that was the teaser for things to come we're going to discuss in the news.
I do too.
Knock on wood.
Still yes. It was kind of odd. Didn't, Mark Briscoe came out there in pajama pants during the presser too. And the best part about that was that they were camouflage pajama pants and a blazer.
True Sandy Forks, Delaware style.
Oh, Lord. That was a good match. That was a fun match for what it was. It was, it was good.
And based on that result where with the Briscoes ending up with that title, that's why I kind of went back on my previous comment, because I think that I would have been really happy with Red Dragon winning those tag straps. But if we're going to have a Ring of Honor crew in there, and they're going to put it on the Briscoes, then I think it would be overdoing it to have the titles on Redfish too, where at this point, the Young Bucks are definitely more established New Japan talent. That makes a lot better sense booking wise and writing the stories and stuff. So I'm cool with it all now.
I hate to accuse you of doing it again, Kevin, but did you just name them Redfish? Did you name Bobby Fish and Kyle O'Reilly Redfish?
Did I really?
Yes, he did.
Yeah.
I apologize for this. I blame this on my video game addiction. There's a video game that I play, and it's a transportation simulation game, and one of my favorite authors of add-ons for the game has a add-on called Fish, which is a bunch of boats. And somebody went and modified that for some different statistics, and they named their version Redfish. So,
you know what, though? I actually kind of like that name for a dragon. I like Redfish. It kind of fits.
So, yes, I meant Red Dragon, and I've got Redfish on my brain because, it's my favorite video game of all, so I apologize.
It's all good. Speaking
One
of all
fish,
good.
two fish. Redfish, Bobby Fish.
Yes, count on Jason to get us back on track.
So yeah, the next match at Wrestle Kingdom 10 was actually for the ROH World Heavyweight Championship. Speaking of ROH, we had the champion Jay Lethal taking on Michael Elgin. And much like Cheeseburger, Michael Elgin is way, 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 way over with the Japanese fans. They love Michael Elgin for just being a beast along the lines of like Vader, just this big hulking guy that can do deadlift stalling suplexes and deadlift German suplexes and that sick deadlift avalanche falcon arrow. I said Yoshitatsu was the weak point of this pay-per-view. If I had to pick the second weakest point of this pay-per-view, it would be the finish to this match, which was very sports entertainment-like, where Truth Martini hits Michael Elgin with the Book of Truth, an actual book. He hits him with a book, and then Jay Lethal hits the lethal injection and retains the title, and I don't know how that flies in ROH, but at the biggest New Japan show of the year, it's just kind of like, that's not really how we do things here.
Yeah, it was kind of a weak finish.
I mean, it's not even sports entertainment finish. That's kind of an indie-rific finish. You don't pull that kind of finish on what is essentially, I hate to use this phrase and overuse it, but this show is New Japan's WrestleMania. It's their biggest card of the year. And to pull something like that, it just bad.
It was cheap. It was very, very cheap.
Well, I'll be the dissenting voice here and say that you don't want to give away the whole store. You want to save a little something to tease for later. So why not have a fuck finish here? Because it's not the most important match on the card. It's in the middle of the card. It's not the main event. It's not the co-main event. And you want people to see Elgin and Lethal again down the road.
Yeah, but Elgin and Lethal aren't going to happen again. Elgin's not under contract to Ring of Honor. And later that night, Elgin already said he was going after the Never title.
Yeah, but I wouldn't say never. I think there could be ways to work around it with an angle.
Yeah, there could, but it's not like that's a title Elgin's going to win as long as he doesn't have a contract with Ring of Honor.
Well,
Elgin's not had a contract before, and it's been turned into an angle by Ring of Honor, so I rule nothing out.
Well, if you want more of Elgin's insights, go back to the episode of the Undisputed Wrestling Show 2 weeks ago, where he was our guest. He had a lot to say about what was going on in New Japan and what had previously transpired with him in Ring of Honor.
Yes, Q Paul Carmichael and Zane Paisley asked him all the hard-hitting questions, and he answered them all. So go check that out right now on AngryMarks.com or on YouTube. We uploaded the whole show.
And speaking of fuck finishes that kills things.
Yes, Kevin may botch the names, but I stall things with cheap plugs.
Came to a screeching halt.
Parrot t-shirts. Buy them now.
Everybody go back to where you were. Forget I made a cheap plug for anything.
We gotta get Yoshitatsu a parrot t-shirt.
He would wear it. He would.
We would. It would be fitting. But we'll move on to the next match, the IWGP Junior Heavyweight Championship. We had Kenny Omega, the champion, taking on Kushida, and this was awesome because Kushida came out to the ring with a valet that was dressed like Doc Brown, complete with a white wig.
Stupid freaking Taguchi. We were all sitting there on Twitter like, who is this? And then somebody said, is that fool Taguchi? And they was like, that son of a bitch. You know?
But we did not see any Doc Brown ass bumps.
But no, Taguchi's out there acting like a moron.
It was fun. I thought it was funny. I liked it.
It was funny, but it was like you sit there and you look and it's like, no, that's not Taguchi. Yeah, it is. No, it's not. Oh my God, it is.
Because he had like a bald cap wig thing on. It was.
It's when I talk about anime meeting pro wrestling. Taguchi was that in spades.
Yeah, but like I said, at least he wasn't out there ass bumping as Doc Brown. That would have sucked. He knew where to draw the line and he drew it.
This is true.
But I liked this match between Kenny Omega and Kushida. We had one of my favorite guilty pleasures of the Bullet Club is when the Young Bucks drum out that Terminator drum line.
Mm-hmm.
I love that spot. They were drumming that on garbage cans. We had a nice Atomico senton that Kushida hit from the top turnbuckle onto the outside. Although the spot of the match had to be that avalanche hoverboard lock arm breaker from the top turnbuckle all the way to the mat that Kushida delivered on Kenny Omega. That was sick. Nobody had ever seen anything like that before, and Twitter blew up at that move.
Now, wait 1 second, Jason. I know you call that the Terminator drum beat, and I won't argue that it is, but when I hear that beat, I hear the Jadakiss song, The Champ is Here. Da-dum, dum, da-dum. The champ is here. Da-dum, dum, da-dum. The champ is here.
See, I hear first Terminator movie, but that's just me.
It could be either one. It's the exact same syncopation.
The match itself was good. I just hope that, they know what they're doing with Kushida now.
Because, yes, Kushida did end up taking the title when Omega went for a one-wing angel, but Kushida rolled through it, rolled up Omega, got the pinfall victory, and has regained the IWGP Junior Heavyweight Championship. And this was a good match. I like the match. And yeah, I hope they have Kushida actually hold on to the belt longer than for a cup of coffee this time.
Well, considering he's not leaving to go elsewhere, I think he will.
And considering his most recent competition, well, we'll get to that later. We'll tease that and we'll come to that a little bit later. But yeah, Kushida is your new IWGP Junior Heavyweight Champion. He did win it after the Best of the Super Juniors, and he's got it back now. Next match we had was the IWGP Heavyweight Tag Team Championship. We had Bullet Club champions Carl Anderson and Doc Gallows taking on GBH because apparently they're still a thing. Yeah, really they are. Togi Makabe and Tomoaki Honma. And I mean, this was what it was. It is a heavyweight tag team championship match, and I like the junior heavyweight style a little bit better. The finish was kind of cool. We had Honma hit his Kokeshi finisher, followed immediately by Makabe hitting his King Kong knee drop, and we have new IWGP heavyweight tag team champions, Honma and Makabe.
I like the Bullet Club's new gear. That was about the highlight of that match for me. I'll be completely honest, I zoned out after, Anderson and Gallows made their entrance in that white gear. Is like, I don't know what it was, but I just kind of zoned out through that whole match.
It was the white gear, but it also had those like teeth, the Finn Balor.
Yes, the like Demon Balor was biting Anderson's ass.
Yeah.
And another teaser of news to come later, as a matter of fact.
I know. We all kind of noticed that. It's like, oh, how sweet. And then later on it made sense.
It's like, oh, crap. Yeah, it's like going back and watching this show and going back and watching the Triple Mania New Year's Dash show after we know what we know now. Boy, there are some things you did not pick up the first time you watched it that you will the second time you watch it.
Yeah.
But we'll get to that later. The big reveal has not come yet. We're still talking about Wrestle Kingdom 10. We had one non-title match on the card, and that was Hiroki Goto versus Tetsuya Naito.
Your favorite wrestler in the world.
I'm not going to shit on Naito in this match. Yeah, I mean, Naito and Yoshitatsu, both on screen at the same time, and I'm hating Yoshitatsu more. So that should tell you something, but this was great because Goto got to hit all of his spots. He hit that sunset flip chitin move from the top turnbuckle. He hit the Ushigoroshi, which I always mark out for. He lariated Naito right out of his fucking boots, and he finished up with a devastating Shoten Kai to pick up the pinfall victory. So I have no problem with this match. It is what it is. It only took 2.5 years for Naito to take off his ring gear this time. It didn't take 6, so I got no problem with the finish. I got no problem with the match. It was a good match. We had some interference. But hey, Evil and Bushi tried to interfere, but didn't work. Goto's your winner.
I like Naito's monkey mask and his Saturday Night Fever suit. I'm trying to figure out what the fuck the deal was with the monkey mask. I got the skull, I got
it was all furry. Yeah, it was like furry, and it's like, this is supposed to make me think you're a heel. You've got, fur is never an evil thing unless it's on mold.
It's kind of like crushed velvet, it's not bad. Well, I mean, it's bad, but it's not
singlet.
bad.
It's like
bad.
a rejected. It's like if Prince designed like a singlet for RVD and it was rejected, and then Watanabe just happened to pick it up at a secondhand store. That's kind of what his singlet looks like: purple and black crushed velvet.
Purple rain, purple rain.
The match itself was good, but I don't think it was anything to write home about. It was
No,
kind of like a stopgap between what they were doing and what they're going to do.
Yeah, it was the death spot match.
You were just happy that Naito lost.
I was happy that I got to see Mist for a second time in a show, too, where Bushi tried to miss Goto but missed and got Evil instead with it.
Yeah, that was kind of fitting. I'm not a real big Evil fan, so I was okay with him getting misted.
Yeah, Black Velvet there. Not so much.
No.
But yeah, I mean, Naito wrestled a good style. He wasn't doing his I'm gonna stall for 50 years gimmick that really gets under my skin. He wrestled a match and Goto won. And nothing was on the line for it.
It was good for what it was, kind of a nice little stopgap between where they had been and where they were going.
And we did have a title match with the Never Openweight title being defended. Champion Tomohiro Ishii taking on Katsuyori Shibata. And what stuck out to me in this match, I actually counted this and made a note of it, was where Ishii sold 7 elbow strikes from Shibata, then just came back and floored him with one of his own. And our producer, Killer Cav, I was chatting with him on Facebook, and he's like, wow, do they always no-sell shots like this? I'm like, wait till they start selling no-selling suplexes and clotheslines. And, of course, they did.
And headbutts and kicks. And, oh, God, that was not a wrestling match. That was an attempted murder.
If you like strong style, this was the strongest.
And it was so glorious.
King of no-sell.
It was, to me, this was so good. I know a lot of people don't like it, and a lot of people have, a big problem with these guys no-selling or sitting down in the middle of the ring and, no-selling kicks and calling it stupid. But to me, it was just great. I loved it. Until they got to those headbutts.
This is kind of the definition between whether you're a Puro fan or not, because if you're a Puro fan, you like this.
Indeed, and I have no problem with the no-selling. What I have a problem with is the finish. Shibata wins a very impressive match with a lot of no-selling with a most unimpressive penalty kick. And earlier in the match, Ishii no-sold, 3 or 4 of those in a row, but all of a sudden, since it's time for the finish, this is going to put Ishii down. And it just seemed kind of an unfitting finish to a match where everything was no-sold, like a brainbuster out of nowhere or a clothesline that almost took Ishii's head off. Something like that would be a more fitting finish to this match.
I'm not defending it, but I'm saying to me it's like the video game power meter. When it gets all the way down to 0, you can win with a simple move.
Yeah, it was kind of the culmination of everything.
Mm-hmm.
It wasn't just a penalty kick out of nowhere. It was, I have whooped your ass for about 15 minutes now. I'm going to kick you as hard as I can, and I'm going to beat you.
Yeah.
Yeah, and hopefully due to recent circumstances, Shibata will get a chance to shine, but we'll talk more about that later. So we come to our co-main event of the evening, the IWGP Intercontinental Championship match between the champion Shinsuke Nakamura and AJ Styles. And much like I predicted.
5 fucking stars.
5 stars. This was match of the night. This did eclipse the main event. This was your match of the night, and
not according to some people.
Which people are those? I want names. I want numbers. I want Twitter accounts.
Yeah, Meltzer put out his star ratings today for Wrestle Kingdom.
And he didn't give this 5?
No.
Was it the infamous 4 3/4?
I think it was 4 3/4. It might have been 4.5, but I think it was 4 3/4.
Oh, he got so much shit for that one year at WrestleMania for giving a match 4 3/4. Everybody rode his ass.
Was he also one of?
Are you kidding me?
Was he also one of the people that voted against Ken Griffey getting into the Hall of Fame? I bet he was.
But yeah, Nakamura was the king of kicking out at like 2.9 and 2.95 in this match. There was a spot where Styles stole Nakamura's move, the Bomb IA, hit him with that, followed up with a 450 splash, and Nakamura out at the last possible half second. There was another spot where Nakamura reversed a discus clothesline attempt that Styles did into a cross arm breaker and then into a triangle hold, but Styles lifts Nakamura up while the triangle hold is still cinched in, and Styles clashes in with Nakamura still having that triangle hold cinched in. Nakamura again kicks out at 2.95. This went back and forth. There were a lot of near falls. In the end, Nakamura did retain the title by pinfall following just an absolutely disgustingly sick-looking Bomb IA to AJ Styles' head.
See, I don't even picture it as like 2.5 or 2 3/4 or 2.95. I picture it like 2.999999999 with the 9s just stretching out to infinity. That's how close to 3 of these kickouts were.
Yeah, and you're sitting there and you scream when he kicks out. This is one of those matches that draws you in.
Yeah, which
it's
is
what
why
wrestling is supposed to be.
Which is why Kevin and I will never agree on the Undertaker versus Triple H match at WrestleMania, because when Undertaker kicked out after Triple H hit him with the tombstone, that was that, oh my God, almost 3 count moment where I just lost my shit. But you had to be there live.
Yeah, and it was one of those things. It was such a good match, and you cringed anytime that AJ, took a bad bump. And, it's like, God, his back is so fucked up, and we all know his back is so fucked up, and he has taken all these moves.
Does that actually make it better when you know a guy is hurting that much and you see him take those sick bumps?
Yeah. To me, it's a respect thing.
Right, because you know how much that guy is hurting, and it's like, oh my God.
But he is still going out there and giving 147%.
Yeah, AJ, if he was hurting, he was trying to no-sell hurt, because he went out there and took everything that could be thrown at him, the kitchen sink and all.
He even tried to fake an injury at one point in this match after being pulled off the top rope. That was kind of the one weak spot, because you knew he was faking that injury, but... yeah, in terms of legit injury, Styles did not show any signs of wear whatsoever.
This was just a smooth, great match. And then at the end makes more sense now, than it did.
Yeah,
slightly.
We'll talk about that later. Running theme here.
Follow us on Twitter, # we'll talk more about that later.
Oh, shit.
Anything else anyone wants to say about the Nakamura Styles match before we move on to the main event?
Watch this match.
It should be in the running for match of the year. Even though it's only early January, watch in December. We'll still remember it.
Mm-hmm.
That's one of the sentiments I expressed to in my review for AngryMarks.com, was that it's an early candidate for match of the year, but it is a strong candidate.
And I did the same thing with Top Rope Press. It's like, this is it. We are 4 days in, and here's one of your matches of the year right here.
And if you're too cheap to pay $8.33 to go order New Japan World for a month to see this match, it's pretty much leaked all over YouTube now, and it's probably going to take New Japan like half the year to get all the copies off.
Yeah, it's not hard to find at this point.
But go pay the $8.33 to go watch this pay-per-view, because it's worth it.
And
I'll do you one better, Kevin. I'll do you one better. Cancel your WWE network and use the money you saved to pay to watch this.
There you go. Give up WWE Network for a month. I mean, it's Royal Rumble. It's already going to be fucked anyway, because, everybody is pretty much hurt at this point. It's not going to be any good. Yeah, so I mean,
we'll talk about that later.
I mean, hell, in a month, the winner of the Royal Rumble may have come from New Japan. So,
watch the last 3 matches of Wrestle Kingdom and New Year Dash. That is worth the $8.32 right there.
Yes.
It is, but one of the nice things about getting up, as Abbey calls it, at stupid o'clock in the morning, which I think was like 2 a.m. for Wrestle Kingdom 10, is that when you do watch a match like Styles versus Nakamura at god early hour of the morning, it was probably about 6 or 6:30 a.m. by the time this match rolled around. When you do get those near falls, time is just moving so much slower. It doesn't seem like 2.99999 like Stevie said. It seems like 2.95.
Oh, and speaking of which, I woke up in the middle of the night that night and logged on to my phone, and I saw you guys were tweeting about it. I'm like, yep, these are Pearl Hardcores, because I actually tried to sleep through this and wait till the next morning, but I could see you guys were still live tweeting at 5 a.m.
Shit, I was live tweeting all night Saturday, all night Sunday, all night Monday. I mean, I think I've got a wrestling hangover. I don't think I've recovered yet.
That's part of the fun when you get New Japan World, is live tweeting the events. Join the handful of us that tweet in English and welcome those newbies that come in and friend you and ask about New Japan because they see you tweeting. It's great fun to do.
Mm-hmm.
One of these days, I'm going to get my old Pride days back. I'm going to actually stay up all night with you, but I haven't been able to get back to that yet. I burned myself out doing that in my 30s.
That's where chronic insomnia comes in really, really handy.
That sentence started out completely different than I thought it would. You said that's where chronic comes in handy. I'm like, what? Oh, okay.
That's where chronic. You were thinking marijuana. I was thinking of the tag team.
No.
Never the tag team. Not WCW chronic. Never, ever, 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 ever.
No, New Japan fans only have, chronic insomnia, so it's not that big of a deal to stay up for 3 days in a row.
It was rough after Wrestle Kingdom 10. Later that day, I was kind of rough, but it was worth it. I was like a kid in a candy store for this pay-per-view. This, as Kevin said, for lack of a better metaphor, this is a Japanese wrestling fans' WrestleMania. This was the big show. It didn't fail to deliver, and the main event was no exception. We had Kazuchika Okada. Could he defend his title against the ace, Hiroshi Tanahashi, or would Okada, for a second year in a row, leave the Tokyo Dome crying? Abby, your thoughts on this match?
Well, we had an over-under going on the number of braids that Tana would come out with, and I said 4 with an option for 7. He had 4, with that stupid-ass ponytail on his head. This was a great match. I mean, I give, Tana so much grief, and it's because I'm so very envious of his hair. But this was just incredible. I mean, it deserved the 5 stars that Meltzer gave it. It was a great match.
It was finally time for Okada to get the big win at the Tokyo Dome. It was time for him to be the new king of New Japan. It was time.
And much like I had called in the preview, we saw dueling stolen finishers. We had Tanahashi kicking out of a high fly flow from Okada at 2.9, and Tanahashi follows that up by nailing Okada with a Rainmaker, but he's too winded to follow up. So we did get to see each guy do the other's finisher, which was just amazing. We had Okada kick out of a Dragon Suplex, again, like a fingernail away from a 3 count. We had him kick out of 2 consecutive high fly flows in a row at like 2.96666666 for Satan. But yeah, Okada did end up retaining his title by pinfall after, surprise, surprise, a Rainmaker Lariat, and Tanahashi is no longer the ace. It is Kazuchika Okada.
Now, behind the scenes, as much as I keep hearing about how Tanahashi is hurting really bad, they not only needed to do this to give Okada his signature win, they needed to do this to get Tanahashi out of being the guy who carries New Japan, because much like Cena, he's breaking down from having to do that all the time.
Yeah, he'll end up in the hospital with a bum shoulder next. You watch.
Exactly. So they need to give the 4 guys some breaks, and having him not be the ace all the time is the way to do that.
And it's clearly time to pass the torch, too.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think Tana had, I respect Tana and everything he's done in the ring and all that good stuff, but it had been done and done and done again.
Right. It was a 4-year run, and it was a glorious 4-year run if you're a Tanahashi fan. It was a hateful 4-year run if you're a Cena-Hashi hater, but either way, for those 4 years, he was the man.
And see, unlike Cena, I actually respect Tanahashi. I do not respect John Cena. Kind of the same thing with Hogan. I do not respect Hulk Hogan. I may,
there's not
rag
a lot
Tanahashi.
of people that respect Hulk Hogan anymore after the sex tape. That kind of killed what little respect he had.
Yeah, but I mean, Tana, at least, I respect what he's done in his career. I respect the kind of man he is outside of the ring. It's just that freaking hair, and the air guitar, and it's the stupid little shit, that just, it's like fingernails on a chalkboard.
I'm sorry, I'm still keeping to my promise to do an air guitar at the Texas Dallas State. It costs the Jerry Jones belt. I'm going to do air guitar for you guys.
And take the If Cena Wins We Riot sign with you, too.
Yes. Well, Cena's not going to be there, so.
Yeah, actually, since Cena is no longer going to be there, I should take the If Cena-Hashi Wins We Riot sign.
They don't even know what the hell you're talking about.
As long as 2 people know what the sign's about, that's good enough for me.
Comedy for 2 is still comedy.
Yes.
But yeah, that
overall, Wrestle Kingdom 10 on a 1 to 5 star scale, since we've already been using the 5-star scale. Jason, how do you rate it?
I give this 4.5 stars. Easily, yeah. 4.5 stars for Wrestle Kingdom 10.
Abby, what do you give it?
4 3/4 stars.
Okay, Abby Meltzer.
No, I mean, there were a couple of things that I didn't like, but overall it was a really, New Japan always puts on great shows. So just those couple of little things.
Yeah, and Wrestle Kingdom is always the best of the best. It is their WrestleMania. They pull out all the stops for this show.
Mm-hmm.
Kev, what do you rate the show?
4.9.
Ooh.
I mean, seriously, wow. I mean, the only flaw that I had with this show is the fuck finish between Jay Lethal and Michael Elgin and the discombobulation of communication between Yoshitatsu and the rest of the commentary team. I mean, everything else was just flat out spot on. I don't think any promotion anywhere could have put on a card that beats this one.
And you need to stick with the Japanese commentary. That's just part of the magic of the show.
I mean, I had no problem with Kevin Kelly and Matt Stryker at all. I mean, that flowed so well and it was so engaging. I mean, I've tried watching a lot of Japanese wrestling over the years and trying to either try to pick up on what the Japanese commentators are saying or just trying to ignore it. And, and that's one thing because it kind of helps me focus on the wrestling that's happening in the ring. But I think Kelly and Stryker did a very good job of presenting Japanese puroresu to an English language audience and making it feel just as comfortable as watching a WWE show.
WWE shows are comfortable to watch.
Except the only difference is I don't have to hear Jerry Lawler screaming about puppies.
Puppies!
He hasn't really done that for about 10 years now.
And thank God, because I was horrible.
Someday we'll get my absolute dream presentation of New Japan, which would be Japanese language commentary with English subtitles.
That would be great. Yeah. If I could watch it subtitled, that would be awesome. Like closed caption, but in English with the Japanese audio going at the same time.
As long as it's the same
way to watch anime.
As long as it's the same kind of, translation that Twitter does with Bing, and don't they use Bing for the translation? As long as it's those kind of subtitles, I'd be great with it.
Well, yeah, you got to get,
because we could have seen.
Oh, sorry, go ahead.
We could have seen Michael Elegant in a match,
or as they call him, Michael Arugan.
And Bad Racks Fale.
Bad Rock Fale.
Oh, the one thing always gets me is Doc Gyurasu.
It's just, as long as it's some kind of cross between the Twitter translation and the New Japan English version translation, that would be great.
My favorite is when I call Beretta Valletta.
Well, it is that whole L to R thing, so that actually kind of fits.
But yeah, I think English commentary is going to be very, very important to New Japan World subscriptions going forward, but hashtag we'll talk more about that later.
We're going to have to print t-shirts that say we'll talk about that later.
That'll be my 2016 Angry Marks official shirt. Jordan's got his parrot shirt. I've got the hashtag we'll talk more about that later shirt.
And then we'll do the hashtag where you've got the parrot quoting the hashtag.
The parrot saying that. That would be awesome.
That's right.
Parrot's going, rah, we'll talk about that later. Rah. But we do have another New Japan show to get to. We have what I called New Japan's Triple Mania because this show was just ripe with video stream difficulties. It didn't matter if you were watching the English broadcast as I was or the Japanese broadcast as Abbey was, because every 5 seconds this would buffer. I even at one point had my video running 5 minutes behind the live feed and it would still buffer. I watched it again today on replay, no problems whatsoever, but it was infuriating during the fact, and it was nearly unwatchable.
Yeah, you were kind of pissed off about the whole thing.
Yeah, I was triple maniaing this, and every time it buffered, I'd go off. I mean, shoot. Well, not only is that one of the reasons that it's like triple mania. Another reason is New Japan World listed the wrong freaking time on their website for the start time of this event. They listed the start time.
I think New Japan was going nuts right before this event.
They listed the start time for this event as 5:30 when in actuality it was 4:30. So I woke up and missed about an hour. I woke up at intermission and I'm like, what the hell? And then after intermission, I'm treated to these just video pauses every 5 seconds. So yeah, I was understandably a little angry, but having watched it again, I can kind of leave that behind me, and I did get the gist of the important things that went on. We'll run through the matches quickly. The opening match, we had Koshinaka, Nagata, Nakanishi, Taguchi, and Sho Tanaka taking on Fujiwara, Liger, Tiger Mask, Cheeseburger, and Yohei Komatsu, and oh my god, was Cheeseburger ever over with the Korakuen Hall fans.
Indeed.
Korakuen Hall is a bizarro world version of the ECW arena. They love their underdogs, they love the fighting spirit, and Cheeseburger somehow won these fans over.
This was like Raw after WrestleMania. In a lot of ways, it really was. It was such a fun show. And, I want Cheeseburger and Fujiwara to be a full-time tag team.
I don't know. After the end of that match, though, it didn't seem like that was going to happen.
Well, no, but
Cheeseburger tweeted, it's been great, Japan. He's heading back, but it would be nice, kind of like they're bringing Elgin back after the G1 to bring Cheeseburger back at a later date because the fans have just taken to him.
Well, it's because he's Jushin Liger's favorite wrestler, which I do not for the life of me fucking understand. He wears Cheeseburger shirts. I mean, it's just, it's bizarre. It's bizarre.
I just felt so sorry for Cheeseburger in this match. I mean, because they just abused the fuck out of him.
That was the best part.
I know.
I don't feel sorry for him. The fans loved him. I loved when he went for that body slam, and who was it? Nakanishi just fell right on top of him. That was comedy at its best.
I mean, but really, several spots in this match, you had Tiger Mask and Jushin Thunder Liger get in the ring to try to help Cheeseburger. But usually what they ended up doing was trying to use him as a weapon against his opponent. And he's so light, he just slams right into the guy, and then crumples. And then go through all that at the end to eat a headbutt from Fujiwara after the match was over. It's like, oh man, he just had a rough night.
That's the best part.
Oh, it was. It no doubt was. I mean, it was pure comedy. For like half of this match. The other half of this match was really hard hitting and I liked it, but it's like, poor Cheeseburger. I mean, but he was so over with the fans. He's gotta come back.
I couldn't decide if those interactions,
I wanted to pitch this to you. What would you think in a singles match coming up in New Japan if they were to put Cheeseburger against Toru Yano in a singles match?
Oh God, Yano would kill him.
It would be entertaining
as
hell, though. Yeah, it would be the funniest match you've ever seen.
That would be just pure comic genius right there. I don't know, Cheeseburger. I mean, I don't know what was better, Cheeseburger's interactions with Fujiwara or his reaction at the New Japan Rumble when Kabuki got in the ring, where he was half in, half out, staring at Kabuki like he was just some kind of alien,
backing out through the ropes. Like, I wouldn't.
Yeah, backing out like, oh no.
That was funny at the New Japan Rumble. Yeah. We had Ricochet and Matt Sydal beating David Finlay and Jay White. There wasn't much doubt of who was going to win this one, but the Young Lions did put up a good fight in this match.
Jay White's going to be a star. He's going to, take over Devitt's role of what Devitt was in the junior division. Finlay, I hope he does just as well, but he doesn't have the charisma that Jay does.
No, and I'd like to see one, if not both of these guys at some point get kind of brought up into Bullet Club. We were talking about
Bullet Club might not be around that much longer.
But yeah, it might not. It may, it may not. We'll see how things go.
Bullet Club may have been replaced by something called the Elite. But we'll get to that later.
We'll talk more about that later.
Talk later.
So we had Jay Lethal taking on Juice Robinson in a singles match. The ROH title was not on the line, and Jay Lethal won this match. It was kind of eh.
Yeah, but Truth Martini took that airplane spin from Juice and did not let go of that book once.
He did not, and then he staggered out of the ring, and the Korakuen Hall just erupted into laughter as he was staggering and then fell through the ring ropes, and some comedic gold there, but yeah, I mean, aside from that airplane spin, which Japanese fans tend to mark out for, no matter who's doing it to who, it wasn't much to write home about.
It wasn't a bad match. Juice looked pretty good in it, but you knew he wasn't going to win.
Even in a non-title match.
Yeah, and for those who don't know, Juice Robinson is former NXT star CJ Parker. And I tell you what, I mean, really, as far as characters go, it's night and day difference here. CJ Parker just had this gimmick in NXT that just kind of really turned me off. I mean, I could see that he was a good wrestler, but the gimmick I just never could get into it. And I don't think a lot of NXT fans really got into it either.
Recycling is not a real big wrestler's gimmick.
Yeah.
There's nothing to get excited about over recycling.
Maybe a little too hippie and a little too crunchy for a lot of wrestling fans to really get into. But I'll give Jason the credit here on this. We were talking about this off the air. The reason I think this works so much better in New Japan for him is that in New Japan, he can't cut promos. He's not Japanese. He doesn't speak Japanese. So the only thing that he's got is his work rate. And his work rate in Japan here is fabulous.
It is.
I mean, I really got to see the athlete in this guy, and going up against Jay Lethal, a legitimate world champion. He did not look bad at all. Lethal did not carry him in this match one bit. Great match.
Mm-hmm.
Indeed, yeah. Juice Robinson has to get over on his technical merit. He held his own with Jay Lethal. Jay Lethal didn't look weak, kind of like that finish in the match against Michael Elgin. You know, we didn't have a Juice Robinson getting cracked on the head with a book, but yeah, I mean, it is what it is. It was a good match, and Robinson, it's like much like, I mean, I kind of hesitate to group him in with the Young Lions, but he kind of is, but much like any young lion in New Japan, he holds his own.
I think he and Cody Hall, you know, my favorite person in the whole wide world, they're kind of in the same category. They're not really young lions. They're not really full-fledged roster members. They're kind of somewhere.
They're not young lions, but they're not super over either. They're not in the main mix.
Yeah.
Moving on. We had a tag team match. We had King Haku, Carl Anderson, Doc Gallows, and Yujiro Takahashi, and Tama Tonga taking on Togi Makabe, Tomoaki Hanma, Hiroyoshi Tenzin, Satoshi Kojima, and Kushida. This was pretty good. Yeah.
I mean, you got to see Haku hit a pile driver.
Yeah.
And it was nice to see father and son out there together.
Father,
it was more about
stepson?
Well, his adopted son.
Yeah, adopted son, but yeah, same thing.
You know, it was more about what was going on, not so much in the match as the little backstories around it.
And having Haku out for a second time was pretty cool.
It was.
The nostalgia factor was awesome, and Tama Tonga's always got really awesome looking face paint on his son there, so that was cool to see. And yeah, the Bullet Club ended up winning this one. We had Naito Evil in his crushed leather, and Bushi taking on John Cena, Michael Elgin, and Mascara Dorada. And it was nice to see Mascara Dorada here. It was nice to hear the fans get a Dorada chant going at one point in this match. I did like seeing that. But yeah, it was the Los Ingobernables team that came out victorious in this one.
Wasn't this where Bushi challenged Kushida? Or was that later on? Or the night before? Like I said, I was up for 72 hours.
I think it was this one. I think this was the one where Bushi did challenge for the junior heavyweight championship. Mm-hmm. So Bushi wants to take on Kushida now, and
that will be coming up Bushi. That'll be coming up at Fantastica Mania at the end of the month.
Yay! We get to wake up at stupid o'clock again and watch more Japanese wrestling.
Yeah, well, these are at 2:30 in the morning. They're doing the last 3 shows, and they're at 2:30 in the morning.
On what day?
That's like like an afternoon show in Japan then, right?
Yeah, it's 6:30, so it's 14 hours.
Show.
What day is this on?
What dates? The 22nd, 23rd, and 24th. Fantastica Mania runs the 17th through the 24th, and they're streaming the last 3 shows. So if that's CMLL and New Japan.
So if you're going to be up that late, let's make sure that you get your late night food order in before they cut off, so you've got time to have a bunch of snacks and everything to go before you watch the show.
Yeah, I'm not really sure about Fantastica Mania. I didn't watch it last year, but this is going to be Sho and Yohi's send-off to their excursion in CMLL and Mascara Dorada's farewell to New Japan. He's coming to the end of his run.
Nice. I mean, that really should give Yohei Komatsu some of that much-needed lucha style, because he is a bit strong and a bit bland in light heavyweight competition. I would like to see him pick up a little bit more lucha skill, and I think a trip to Japan will do him pretty well.
Well, they'll be in CMLL for a year or so, and I think they'll be in Ring of Honor a little bit too.
No, that'll be good. He'll get some experience in different wrestling style under his belt, and perhaps when they both come back, they will no longer be members of the Black Trunks Brigade.
Hopefully not. Maybe they'll graduate into some kind of color.
That would be nice, but not the kind of color where you take a blade and scrape it across.
Well, no, not that kind of color. No. I was thinking maybe some blues or greens.
But yes, I guess we can tease it. tease it a little bit longer here because we had the tag team Bullet Club, AJ Styles and Kenny Omega taking on Shinsuke Nakamura and Yoshihashi. Decent match. We had Kenny Omega pinning the Intercontinental Champion in tag team action here with the One Wing Angel, though the real story of this match is what took place afterwards as they were celebrating their win.
Aftermath gets the last laugh.
Aftermath. Kenny Omega walks up to AJ Styles, who's posing, climbs up the turnbuckle, he's posing. Omega pulls him off the top turnbuckle, crushes him into the ring with a One Wing Angel. The Young Bucks hit the ring. They're questioning, what did you just do, Kenny Omega? That's AJ Styles. He's one of our own. Anderson, Gallows, and Cody Hall come out. It looks like there's a little bit of dissension. The Young Bucks then super kick AJ as Gallows and Anderson lift him up. It looks like they may come to blows. We may have, like an NWO Wolfpack, NWO Black and White thing here. But no, all of the members of Bullet Club turn on AJ Styles, Gallows, Anderson, Cody Hall. They start stomping AJ Styles. Everybody, the Young Bucks, Kenny Omega is stomping AJ Styles. Finally, they leave the ring and the Young Lions are picking up AJ Styles. But guess what? The Young Bucks and Kenny Omega slide back into the ring and put even more of a beat down. And Kenny Omega delivers AJ Styles' own finishing move. The Styles clash to AJ Styles before they leave him laying lifeless in the ring. And Kenny Omega cuts a promo saying he is no longer a junior heavyweight.
Can I butt in?
Yeah.
I want to explain this because this is my favorite part of the whole thing. The sell job by Kenny Omega on this angle is I have always been held back because I have been treated like a junior heavyweight and have had to fight for junior heavyweight titles. You've always been the heavyweight AJ Styles. Well, you're not the man anymore. You're out of here. I'm taking over. I'm going to be the heavyweight now.
That's what he said, and he wants a shot at, he said he's coming for Shinsuke Nakamura, but we'll talk more about that later.
Eventually, we are going to get to where we talk about this later, right?
Well, it will be in less than 5 minutes. We will get there. So set your watches.
But for an angle they had to book on the fly because of things we're going to talk about later, this was masterfully executed.
This wasn't one that was done on the fly. This was kind of planned out beforehand, or at least that's the news that's come out now.
It was planned out beforehand, but when I say it was done on the fly, they had to speed it up. I think they would have drawn this out a lot longer if they could have.
Yeah.
The psychology involved was very good. They didn't overly tip their hand. Going back and watching it a second time, you can pick up on little hints and clues, but the first time I watched this match, it came as a complete and total shock.
I know. It was like, what the hell are they doing?
It was like, AJ's out of Bullet Club? Oh my God, what is going, Kenny Omega's taking over?
And Omega's facial expressions
am I wrong
were
on this? When did AJ Styles become leader of the Bullet Club? I always thought Carl Anderson was leader of the Bullet Club.
He's never been. I've never thought of him as the leader of the Bullet Club.
Well, I guess just de facto by being the most successful member of the Bullet Club, that kind of makes him the leader. But I see where you're coming from. But the thing that's interesting about this is he won't be able to return to follow this up, but the crowd was so behind AJ as he took a beating after a beating after a beating. They were cheering him on. They wanted AJ to fight back.
And that's one thing that you would see at the G1 Climax too. When AJ Styles was taking on another member of Bullet Club, the fans would pop for AJ. It's like the fans want to pop for AJ, and when he's in there with a guy that's even more rudo than he is, they will pop for him. And now that he's kind of, been expelled from Bullet Club, they really got behind him.
Right. It's just sad there won't be a follow-up, but what can you do?
And in the end, when he got up and did the bows to each side of the ring, it was like, that was emotion, again, that you can get invested in. That is something that is so very missing from this business these days.
Especially on this side of the pond.
Exactly.
But that was that match. We had a few more matches on the card. We had Hiroki Goto, Katsuyori Shibata, and Red Dragon taking on Kazuchika Okada, Tomohiro Ishii, and Roppongi Vice. And sadly for Roppongi Vice, they would not come out victorious here either, as the team of Goto, Shibata, and Red Dragon beat them. But this was a pretty decent match, and anytime Rocky Romero is in the ring, it's entertaining.
Yeah, Rocky is so good. So fun.
I've heard rumors that WWE is interested in him, and I'm like, please, no, leave him here, please.
Yeah, I've heard that too.
He's already been a trainer. He's worked for the pro wrestling training center before, so they kind of know him. Yeah,
he was over here not too long ago. What was it? Late November, doing one of the guest trainer spots at NXT at the Performance Center.
Yeah, very last minute.
Right.
I don't have a problem with him doing that, but yeah, don't go there full time, please. Please. Stay in New Japan.
Yeah, he's too good to be stuck in some kind of trainer role right now.
Or some kind of lame gimmick that they would saddle him with in WWE.
Yeah.
But there was a title defense on New Japan's Triple Mania New Year's Dash, whatever you want to call it. We had the Stevie title. We had the Stevie J title. The never open-weight 6-man title. We had Abbey's Spirit Animal and Redneck Kung Fu taking on Bad Luck Fale and the Young Bucks. And surprise, surprise, the champs retain the title in this one.
It was what it was.
It's
I can't say it was great.
It's like, how do you follow up AJ Styles getting kicked out of Bullet Club? I mean, that should have been the end of that should have been the main event. It really should have. I don't know if it would have tipped the hat that it would have been, but I mean, the Never Openweight Championship isn't that much of a title anyway. I don't think it would have given too much away had you put that at the end of the match, at the end of the card rather. That match at the end of the card, the Styles and Omega versus Nakamura and Yoshihashi.
I mean, it was what it was. The promo at the end by the Briscoes, and then Yano getting the microphone saying, "Did you know what they were saying? Because I didn't know what they were saying."
That was the greatest. Yeah, where
with the Yano shrug, like I didn't know.
Yeah, Yano cuts this promo in Japanese, and Yoshihashi translated. He says, you guys didn't understand what the Briscoes just said, but that's okay because I didn't understand what they said either. Does this little Yano shrug, drops the mic, and off he walks. It's just brilliant.
It's the perfect ending, it was just great.
The Yano shrug, yeah. That needs to go viral.
That's his signature move.
The Yano shrug, that just needs to just blow up and take over the internet.
Give it time. It will. He's kind of cagey that way.
And what's up with Cody Hall's haircut? It's like he went to Minoru Suzuki's barber or something. He's got this weird... It's like he went to the barber and said, I want to look like Charlie Sheen from Major League.
He already looks stupid. I mean, he doesn't need any help.
But yeah, he's like some weird design shaved into his head now. It's not quite Minoru Suzuki level of bizarre looking, but yeah, it doesn't look good.
Gato sent him over to Noah, so I don't have to deal with him. Do a talent swap.
There you go. I have some other ideas for talent swap, and we'll get to that right now, as there have been some major, and I mean major, talent departures from New Japan. AJ Styles, Shinsuke Nakamura, Doc Gallows, and Carl Anderson have all given their notice to New Japan that they will not be signing with them again. And likely they are all jumping to WWE.
Well, to break this down a little bit further, AJ Styles and Doc Gallows were free to leave at any time because their contracts expired at the end of the year. However, the other two still have dates they have to fulfill for New Japan.
Yeah, Nakamura is still wrestling, and yeah.
Their contracts don't expire till the 31st, which that's how New Japan does it. They do the year-long contracts through the end of January. And there are other names floating around out there, too.
Through the end of December.
Which makes sense on why Nakamura won the title, but now he's got to drop it. But I think first and foremost, in the wake of this and the aftermath of this, what New Japan needs to do first and foremost is they need to start signing guys to deals longer than one-term contracts. Granted, they signed Okada to a 2-year contract that's going to be coming up. Start with Okada, sign him to a term longer than 2 years. The guys that you have under contract now, take a look at them. Don't sign them for 1 year. Don't sign them for 2 years. Lock them up for multiple year deals so you don't get your talent rated from you like you just did. You got caught with your pants down. It's time to get a belt. Buckle that belt so your pants don't fall down again.
Can I say I have to give you both credit for this? When we had this discussion on last week's show, and you said that maybe they were signing Mauro Ranallo to fuck with New Japan, I was like, no, I don't really think they care about New Japan that much.
Yeah.
Hindsight's 2020, isn't it?
Yeah, I will eat crow on that one. They really are trying to fuck with New Japan. There can be no question.
Especially with this, and I guess the more immediate concern of what New Japan should do is, how do you fill the roles that these guys are leaving? The first thing I can see is recalling guys from Noah that is owned by the same parent company. Not only that, but there are guys that are currently New Japan wrestlers that are on loan to Noah. And the first thing that I would do right away, I would bring in the Killer Elite Squad, Lance Archer and Davey Boy Smith Jr. to replace the departing Anderson and Gallows. You can plug them right into the tag team division, heavyweight tag team. I don't think you lose much. You may even be trading up a little in terms of skill. I would have them drop the GHC tag titles in Noah and wrap up the whole Suzuki-Gun invasion of Noah, but hashtag more on that later.
I don't know what they're going to do. I mean, I could see having Suzuki kind of slide in and fill Nakamura's role for a little bit. But I mean, Nakamura, if you look at it objectively, was New Japan's biggest star. I mean, as far as charisma and all the media crap and talent in the ring, and yeah, you've got Tana and yeah, you've got Okada, but Nakamura, he was, you know,
he was the face of New Japan.
Well, yeah, there's a reason.
He was kind of like what RVD. What RVD was to ECW is kind of what Nakamura is and was to New Japan. RVD didn't hold the big belts. He held their secondary belts, but he was over with the fans and he was the face of ECW. That's exactly what Nakamura was here, if not more.
Yeah, and Suzuki can kind of slide in because he's extremely popular, despite the fact that he is the scariest man on the damn planet. Very popular with the fans. Everybody loves him. He's a badass and can come in there with some legitimacy. But if they don't have a plan in place by the end of the month, since that's when Nakamura is leaving, we found out today, that's going to leave a big hole in New Japan. A big hole.
If I were Gato, and this is how I would book it, you're saying you got a month left. You got till the end of the month until Nakamura leaves. What I want to see is, how much confidence do they have in Kenny Omega? We'll take a look and see how he does with, leading Bullet Club. If that's working, then great. Bring one of the young lions like a Jay White or a David Finlay in. Hell, bring David Finlay in. Say, we've recruited a guy from a family that loves to fight. Bam, in comes David Finlay, new member of Bullet Club. If Bullet Club is gone or if Bullet Club falls flat on its face, then guess what? Bring in not only Minoru Suzuki, but bring in all of Suzuki-Gun. Bring in Shelton Benjamin. Bring in Taka Michinoku. Bring in Taichi. Bring in Iizuka. And bring them all in. And have them become the new black and white clothing wearing heel faction. If Bullet Club is still around, have them destroy the remnants of Bullet Club. If not, guess what? Suzuki-Gun is back in town and they're taking over.
Yeah, but they're still left. I mean, doing that is one way, but they're still left with that big, huge face hole, if you want to call it that Nakamura leaves. Even if Omega does great, they're still missing that very popular, very over.
Face in terms of face of the company? Or face in terms of
face of, this is our most popular guy in a lot of ways.
Well, and face of the guy you can always count on to deliver 4 stars and up.
Exactly. Bringing in a new faction to destroy the 3 Bullet Club members that are more than likely going to be left there, because other rumors floating around today are that Tama and Fale are out the door too.
Yeah, and apparently have been actively recruited by the former Fergal Devitt, a.k.a. Finn Balor.
Yeah, it's like, let's get the band back together in NXT, which I'm fine with.
I would like to see that. I would love to see them.
Takes over, if they totally run over NXT and just own shit
I'm cool
there,
with that.
I would be fine with that. Yeah.
Tama, Fale, and Devitt were the original founding members of Bullet Club. Not Anderson. He didn't come in till later. Just clearing that up.
One thing that I'd like to see WWE do, especially if they do have a Bullet Club reunion, is call them something with the word Dangan in it, like Dangan Dojo, because Dangan is the Japanese word for bullet. Make a t-shirt that is just dissimilar enough from Bullet Club that you won't get sued. That would sell like fucking hotcakes. WWE Mark would buy that. ROH fanboys that hate WWE would buy that. New Japan fans would buy that. It would be the best-selling t-shirt of all time.
But,
we'll talk about that later news for you on that, though.
Oh, what is the talk? Let's just talk about it now.
Well, as it turns out, Court Bauer has been promoting the hot rumor that WWE is actually going to license the New Japan logo and name of Bullet Club to use in NXT.
Okay, here's the deal with that, since I was in the middle of it when it happened today. That was a joke.
Oh, he was kidding. I didn't know that.
No, this happened on Twitter earlier today. With Pro Wrestling Tees and somebody making a stupid comment about, oh, we need to buy all these Bullet Club shirts because, they're not going to be available anymore. And Pro Wrestling Tees, who is the New Japan outlet, for t-shirts and merchandise here, said, yeah, WWE, bought the rights to use Bullet Club. The Inquisitor picked it up. Everybody picked it up. And we're all sitting there saying, this is a damn joke.
Okay,
we were joking.
I'm late to the party because I didn't know that. I only saw the tweet after the fact.
No, and we were sitting there, it's like, this is a joke. And I get out there on the Inquisitor article and say, hey guys, this was a joke. This isn't for real.
They trolled you good.
You know, and it's like...
God. Although I did post it in the news as a hot rumor. I didn't post it as actual fact.
No, and it's like I posted on Twitter, you know, it's sarcasm. You know, let's see how long it takes for news sites to start picking up sarcasm as real news.
Yeah, post it on the Onion.
You know, and then Pro Wrestling Tees had to come out and say, we were joking
was a joke,
around.
Guys. Yeah.
We didn't expect y'all to take this seriously. But no, New Japan owns the copyright and the trademark to the Bullet Club.
And yeah,
honestly, it wasn't that hard to believe that WWE, to create a little buzz for themselves, would actually license Bullet Club.
No, they can't because New Japan owns it. Doc Gallows, the individual, owns the BizCliz.
BizCliz, which they might use. But I'd rather see them do something a little smarter than BizCliz. But we'll see. But yeah, I mean, I don't think New Japan would ask for an insane amount of money to let that go, if they'd even let that name go at all. So yeah, WWE would have to pony up something serious.
But what if they did?
I don't think New Japan would let it go. Yeah, that's too much of a moneymaker for them.
Too much intellectual property, because they want to keep Bullet Club going despite the fact that all these members are leaving. So time will tell how that goes.
If Bushiroad has any brain cells left functioning after this past week, they will lock that copyright and trademark up as long as humanly possible.
Well,
indeed,
I mean,
yeah, because WWE, for all intents and purposes, wins if they get their hands on that. I mean, they have not only pulled your pants down, they have tied them in a knot around your ankle and drop kicked you in the head off of a cliff.
Well, no, not try to take the copyright and the trademark, but license it. I mean, that is good. If this is all true, that these Bullet Club members are going over, and if they're going to put them together as a team, why not go ahead and take a brand and continue to market? I mean, I know it's not WWE creating it, but let's ride the wave here. Let WWE license it. Let WWE produce all the merchandise and shill the hell out of it, and New Japan just sits back and takes a cut of it. You know WWE is going to make money selling this stuff anyway, so there's no loser here.
No,
except
and in
the
a lot
Bullet
of ways,
Club, because they would shit all over the Bullet Club like they shit all over NWO, and I don't want to see that happen in WWE.
I mean, in a lot of ways that makes sense, but the one factor that you're not thinking of is Vince McMahon's ego. Okay, this is a man who ego drives everything. You look at the people he's brought into WWE and NXT that have called up to the main roster. If they are not created in the WWE machine, they're shit on. Guys that came in from WCW
and guys
were
like
shit on.
Shinsuke Nakamura.
He's not going to license Bullet Club. He'll do something that is completely different and completely stupid, because he'll be damned if he is going to pay another wrestling promotion to use something of theirs.
Well, I mean, in years past, I would definitely agree on that. And there's a good reason for that, which is, because WWE is pretty good at creating and marketing their own stuff. They are not idiots when it comes to this. So on one hand,
they're not idiots, but their ego is so huge, they can't see past it.
Right. I mean, like I said, I'll give it to you in the past, because that works. It keeps it all in-house. It keeps all the money in-house. But I can see, with the influence of Triple H, maybe he gets in the old man's brain just enough that he sells this.
No, it won't happen.
Because because I truly believe that if this was Triple H running things completely 100%, that's how he'd do it.
Well, yeah, he would, but he's not doing it. Vince is.
Exactly.
And we can all see where it would make sense and all of that, but Vince does not promote wrestlers. Vince promotes the WWE brand. That is the most important thing to him. And for him to, in his mind, it would probably be kowtowing and begging a lesser promotion to use something that he didn't create, and he's not going to do that.
Except arguably the strongest wrestling promotion in the world other than WWE is New Japan. They are not lesser in any respect.
I'm saying in his mind, it's a lesser promotion. This is a man who will not even utter the letters TNA on his programming. Sting was wandering in limbo for a decade before he came to WWE. When AJ Styles comes in, he will have been wandering through the wilderness like Grizzly Adams for a decade before New Japan found him.
Well, yes.
It'll be like the Revenant. I'm not afraid to die, and I already know that.
You know, James Storm was on the Indies for a decade after WCW. It's like, who the fuck remembers James Storm was in WCW for 5 minutes?
Well, but so with AJ Styles.
Broke this week. They found the photo of AJ Styles working a dark match from 12 years ago.
Yeah, where he looks so confused, like, what the fuck? You mean I'm going to be back here in, a dozen years?
Well, I mean, I will. Yeah, of course, WWE's not going to mention TNA, but let's be honest. Any halfway respectable promotion is not going to mention TNA ever.
Yeah,
I mean, even on the New Japan show. They mentioned WWE, they mentioned Ring of Honor, they mentioned just about every other damn hot indie promotion except TNA.
Yeah, did New Japan ever once acknowledge AJ Styles being a TNA superstar? I don't recall them doing that.
I don't either, but I think that they might have in the past. I don't know. But we know for a fact that WWE is not going to do it, and that's one of the concerns I have with AJ coming in. Is here's the face, the franchise of TNA, whose name you won't even mention. What are you going to do to this guy? Are you going to let him keep his name? You going to let him keep his gear? You going to let him keep his moves?
Well, yeah, I can understand that concern, but again, given what Kevin said about if Triple H is in charge, this is what would happen. We've seen Samoa Joe kept his name and gimmick, and
Samoa
that's because
Joe's
Triple
not
H
coming into the main roster. AJ is.
Right, but Triple H might be able to wield enough influence to say, this guy's not going to get over if we call him Styles Anderson. He has to be AJ. He might convince people.
And really,
this is a guy who brought Kevin Owens up to the main roster, who was made a monster in NXT, who cannot have a match on the main roster without somebody making a fat joke. Exactly how much influence does Triple H have on Vince McMahon?
Not enough, but he has some.
Yeah, let me call one of my top stars, fat dude.
This is why
that joke week in and week out.
This is why I hope that Nakamura and Styles, while they're getting main roster money, don't end up on the main roster, because they're not going to let Nakamura be Nakamura, and they're not going to let Styles be Styles. You're not going to see the 450 splash like you saw at Wrestle Kingdom 10 from Styles. You're not going to see the springboard flying forearm spot that he does in New Japan. You're not going to see the crazy concussion-causing knees to the head from Nakamura.
Yeah, you're not going to see Obama Yay. You're not going to see it.
You're going to see some racist gimmick with Nakamura. You're going to see Suzuki the Samurai
or Japanese Freddy.
Well, and here's where I'm going to hate to admit you're absolutely right, but it's not like they let Neville be Pac. So
no, they don't let Owens be Sting. They don't let Seth Rollins be Tyler Black. They don't let Dean Ambrose be Jon Moxley. They don't let these guys be what made them who they were to grab WWE's attention to begin with.
Well,
it's like, learn our style.
I'm going to say in Moxley's case, though, that's actually an improvement, because I wouldn't want him doing CZW style on the WWE roster.
I wouldn't either, but he's the best damn talker they've got on the roster. And how often does the guy get a microphone in his hand?
Not often enough.
No,
I'd like
instead,
to see
let's
break
just
a pro
portray him as a crazy
over
guy.
Cena's head. That would be cool.
I mean, I wouldn't care, if anybody broke glass panes and light bulbs over Cena's head, but...
Well, we don't need to worry about that, because hashtag we'll talk about it later is now. Cena has blown out his rotator cuff. He went for surgery in Birmingham, Alabama today as we're recording this, and he will not be available for WrestleMania 32.
Somebody explain this to me. Didn't this idiot just come back off hiatus from filming a reality show?
Yes.
How the hell did he tear up his shoulder?
The curse of Sami Zayn.
Well, Sammy just was weird and threw his arms up in the air. Cena doesn't do that.
He does too. He throws his arms up in the air all the time. That belt's over his head.
Well, I don't pay enough attention to Cena to know what the hell he does other than be obnoxious.
I have no idea what he does. What did Nikki Bella do to be on the injury shelf?
The rack attack.
Yeah, she screwed up her back and her neck doing the rack attack too many times.
Yeah, 5 nights a week with silicone implants on your chest bouncing up and down. That's going to fuck you back up a little bit.
Well, shit, that sucks. Sasha Banks came out this afternoon. Sasha Banks is now on the shelf.
If it's a shoulder injury, I'm sending the EPA up there to check the water because there's something funky ass going on.
Well, this is actually become a point of contention. It's good that you mentioned that, Abby, because the Wrestling Observer has pointed out that the reason people keep getting shoulder injuries is because of the way they're training.
Okay,
it's like Cena got the exact same injury Cesaro had. And what do Cena and Cesaro both have in common? They lift incredibly big amounts of weight.
Well, Orton got the same injury by taking out the trash.
Well, Orton's had a separated shoulder for about 15 years now. He
got injured by a hefty bag. I mean, you know,
the very first angle I remember Orton in was him doing Orton news updates on WWE, telling us when he was coming back from his shoulder injury. That was
the
like
Randy
14
News
years
Network.
Ago. Yeah, exactly. That's
RNN. I remember.
Yeah,
that.
he's got some kind of actual chronic condition where I can't remember if it's his tendons. He's got weak tendons in his collarbones and shoulders, and things just pop in and out a lot.
Okay,
but,
so I'm sorry.
Cesaro, Cena, Atami, Zayn. If Sasha's got her shoulder injured, you know, I mean, it's kind of weird.
Okay, what the fuck is Tenzai doing down there? Seriously.
Tell Tenzai and tell all of them to stop doing power lifts with 200 pounds on their back.
I mean, shit, if this is what's going on, go back to hiring the dude who puts donuts in people's asses.
Bill DeMott.
I didn't want to say his name, but
sorry.
that just sounded funny in calling him the dude who puts donuts in people's asses.
WWE is extremely concerned with how people look. I say let everybody look like Kevin Owens and nobody's going to get hurt.
Oh, that would be ideal, but it is a
I
cosmetic
don't know what it
business.
is, but it's weird that there's so many shoulder injuries. You know, it's weird that they're not letting Bryan come back. There's just a lot of weird stuff. If you stand back and look at things, there's just a lot of little things that are weird that don't really make sense.
Well, with Bryan, I half agree and I half don't agree. The half I don't agree with is that he's the greatest technical wrestler of the last 10 years, maybe more. The part I do agree with is the guy has had one too many concussions. They're right to not let him get another one.
Yeah, but what about the NFL Super Bowl doctor that's saying he's fine?
Well, then they have another NFL-level doctor that works for the company that is the one who oversees everything who says he's not.
Yeah, the one that works for the company. That's what I'm saying. If you step back and look at it, it just seems kind of weird.
Okay.
And I'm not a conspiracy theorist or anything like that, but something is just fishy in that situation, and it's always been that way to me.
Well, if they have to protect their ass from a lawsuit, I can't exactly blame them for that as much.
No, I mean,
as
I can't either.
Me. I mean, I would rather they let him do what he wants to do because he's cleared to do it, but they're looking at the bigger picture, whether we agree with it or not.
This might be like a similar case with Nigel McGuinness several years ago.
Yeah, which was why his WWE contract got invalidated, because they didn't want to take the risk.
Yeah, and then you look at AJ and Shinsuke coming in. Can they even pass a physical?
I think AJ could. I don't.
They're going to waive that physical with all the guys that got out right now. I don't think they're going to give them one.
On the one hand, you've got a third of the roster down. You know, it would make sense. Hey, we're just going to let y'all slide on in here now. But on the other hand, it's because they've got so many people injured, they can't bring these guys in without passing a physical.
True fact. Every single person who was a champion after WrestleMania 31 is on the shelf with an injury.
Mm-hmm.
That's scary. But that's okay, because I think all this injury proneness that's going around right now with your top guys, and I think it gives an opportunity for some of these mid-card guys to really break out, and it gives WWE an opportunity to really push them as main event. Now, are fans going to buy it? Maybe not, but WWE's been through that cycle before. It's not going to hurt them. I mean, in the long run, this will only end up making them better.
I think the fans will buy it no problem, because we like these guys. We like Owens. We don't like Sheamus. We like Neville. We're kind of waning on Ziggler. We like these guys. But I'm betting what they do is pull up guys from NXT. I'd say before WrestleMania, we see at least 4 call-ups. At least.
I kind of hope not, because there's so many people. There's so many people on the main roster right now that really does deserve a shot here. And I just don't think that you need to bring up guys from NXT to feed this machine. You got plenty of people there now who you can feed. You've just got to have the writers bust their ass to find a good gimmick for him, to find the right angles for him, and just be confident that those wrestlers can go out there and do their job.
Well, the most important thing is you can't randomly call up people from NXT with no discernible reason for them to be there. That's why the so-called Divas Revolution stunk to high heaven in 2015, because they just plopped Sasha Banks and Becky Lynch and Charlotte on the main roster with no reason other than girl power. That
no
wasn't
build
reason
up,
enough.
no build up, no story, no nothing.
It's like they didn't look at what made them work in NXT. They just threw them into the main roster and said, "Here you go."
That's because they don't watch NXT. What was it that came out today about Triple H? How NXT is all pissed off now because of the whole Roman Reigns beat down of Triple H, and then Triple H showing up at TakeOver London, and the main roster still playing up that Triple H was injured and couldn't be there, and NXT feels like they don't even pay attention to us.
Yeah.
Well, that is basically the same thing they did with Raw and SmackDown. Is somebody gets a beat down on Raw and then just shows up on SmackDown like nothing ever happened to him.
Yeah, but still, I mean, if NXT is your developmental territory, which they are so much more than that, and this is your next generation of stars, to basically overlook them and pretend they don't exist when it suits you, that doesn't do anything but kick your own self in the ass.
I really think it's time that you have a brand extension, and you really need a main roster show that has the feel of NXT. Like, have NXT be a feeder system, but have your sports entertainment guys go to Raw, and have your wrestlers and your guys who can actually go and work the style of match that I like to watch, have them go to SmackDown.
That makes sense to everybody but Vince and that beaver-toothed bastard Kevin Dunn.
Right.
They're still stuck in this sports entertainment. We've got to appeal to the masses and yada, 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 blah, blah, blah. And it doesn't work anymore.
Curiously enough, Roman Reigns actually proposed this in an interview. He said a brand extension could work in 2016 if they were willing to try it. And my reaction to that was, does he really want to go back to Raw and SmackDown being like the red team and the blue team? It didn't even occur to me he was thinking of NXT when he said that.
I mean, it would work if you did it with NXT. If you go back to two sports entertainment shows, it's not going to work, because SmackDown in that case is always going to be Raw version 0.5. But I mean, say you call SmackDown, you can still call it SmackDown, you could call it NXT 2.0 or something. But yeah, I mean, if you have, Triple H running a main roster show, that, you could have NXT feed into both systems. You could have the bigger Jack Dieseled Hoss guys go to Raw, and you could have the guys like Kevin Owens, guys like Neville, guys like Nakamura go to SmackDown, run two completely separate shows, and actually have a reason for a brand extension aside from just wanting to have a brand extension.
The only thing I would fear about that would be the chance to completely kill any type of variety in the shows, because as much as we might decry it, you do need a little bit of variety during Raw. Sometimes you need the complete shit matches, whether you like them or not, and sometimes you need the technical action matches. You need a different amount of things and not the same thing over and over again. And if you limit both shows to just a certain kind of wrestler on each show, it's going to get monotonous after a while.
It can't get worse than it is right now, so what's the harm in trying something new? Back in the day when they first did this, and you had Heyman running SmackDown, that was the wrestling show, but it was also entertaining. That's when you had an actual wrestling guy who knew wrestling writing a wrestling show.
Well, that's what I was going to say, is that worked because of Heyman, not because of the talent.
It also worked because of the talent. I mean, it was the B team. Do you think Edge would have gotten over so big on Raw?
Well,
No.
Ultimately, Edge did get over big on Raw because Edge had a larger-than-life personality and couldn't be held back.
Yeah, but that larger-than-life personality was built up on SmackDown. It was cultivated and built there.
To me, it actually kind of started to build up not because of either brand. It started because the fans turned on him after that WrestleMania where he had the hair match with Booker T. They kind of resented him being the pretty boy, and they turned on him. And once they turned on him, he turned back on them, and that's when Edge became Edge.
Well, somebody took the, leash off of him and let him be him. everything is so regimented. Everything is so minutely micromanaged. It's ridiculous. That's like Jericho coming back with that Rudy Tooty Booty shit on Raw.
Well,
I'm
sorry, Jericho. But that made me laugh. I actually like that. Jericho can make shit work because he's Jericho.
Yeah, but do you think Chris Jericho wrote that? Oh, let me go out there and say this because, I want to look stupid. It's like tater tots.
Well, yes and no. Tater tots was terrible, but I'm sorry, Abby. Let me just finish this one. I agree with you that might have been scripted for him, but the fact that he delivered all his old catchphrases like never, ever again, that was Jericho being Jericho.
Yeah, that was Jericho being Jericho because Jericho had the freedom to develop himself back in the day. These guys today don't have that freedom. So we're getting, a lot of the same cookie cutter stuff when what used to be so great about this business was everybody was different because everybody had enough freedom to be themselves.
Which I think is how the New Day got over, actually, is because they just started improvising and nobody told them not to.
I don't even think they were paying attention in the back to what those guys were doing. And that was great. And maybe that needs to be something that happens with WWE where you've got some kind of system in place where you look at each talent and say, okay, I can trust you to go out there and improvise some lines. You're more comfortable being scripted, we'll script you more. But instead of doing a mass thing of this is how everybody has to be, maybe it needs to be judging these guys on what they can do and what they feel comfortable doing versus trying to fit a square peg in a round hole.
It also behooves the talent to be more assertive because too many people walk around on eggshells afraid that they're going to be fired because they have nowhere else to go. You need guys with, I'm not saying everybody can be The Rock, but you need guys with the assertiveness of The Rock to say, that's terrible, I'm not going to go out there and say that, let's come up with something else.
I wish there were more guys like that on the roster, but I think they've been so beat down or just really don't care and are just showing up for a paycheck.
There are too many guys like that, too many gals like that, but I'm
using this as a stepping stone to get somewhere else.
Right, but let's let the talent flow in both directions. Let's let these WWE guys and gals say, hey, if I can't do what I want here, maybe I'll take the CJ Parker route and I'll go over to New Japan and be a star there.
I would love it if more people actually did that and had the balls to stand up and say, this does not work for me.
Yeah, we need more of that. We need more people who are willing to test the waters on the independents and New Japan and wherever else they can go and realize that WWE is not the end-all be-all of your career.
That would be a great thing. I just don't think in WWE that's going to happen for whatever reason it is, whether people are comfortable or the money's good or they're scared of Vince McMahon or they left their balls at home. I don't know what it is. I think it's a combination of all of that.
Well, I can't argue. I can't solve the problem either, so.
And it scares me to death with Nakamura coming in because I can just see him be destroyed.
Unfortunately.
Because Kevin Dunn won't like his accent and Vince McMahon won't like his style in the ring and he's got this persona and this charisma and this aura that works so well. And I have a feeling it's going to be watered down to the point or completely squashed to the point where we can't even recognize him anymore.
I hate to once again say you're right, but that's pretty much what they did to Mystico. They tried to make him WWE Mystico when they called him Sin Cara and made him work WWE style, and everything that made him work as Mystico in Mexico was handcuffed, and they wouldn't let him do it.
And while we're on the subject of Nakamura here, there was some more I'd wanted to cover with him, especially in New Japan, if I can segue off that here. We have Nakamura who currently has the IC title. And the big question is, who is he going to drop this title to? I really don't want to see him drop it to Kenny Omega. I don't think that's believable. There's two things that I can see going on. The lazy booking 101 would be to have him drop it to Okada, which is kind of like, okay, I can see it happening. It's believable. Where him dropping it to Kenny Omega just wouldn't be. What I would really like to see, kill multiple birds with one stone, have Nakamura drop the belt to Katsuyori Shibata. This would unify the Intercontinental title with the Never Openweight Championship, which means nothing at this point. It was meant to serve as getting a young talent over type title. It really hasn't been that. this would elevate Shibata as a champion to a higher championship level and give him instant credibility.
Well, here's the problem with that. Nakamura's only got 4 shows left for the company. Those are the last 3 shows of Fantastica Mania, where he's, basically working with CMLL, and then the road to, New Beginning, or whatever the next big show is, where he's set to face Omega. So they can't really do anything in the meantime. They don't have any shows to do anything on.
Well, with only 4 shows, then I think the best way to do that then would be a triple threat match.
But a triple threat with who? Omega, Shibata, and Nakamura?
Yeah.
That'd be interesting. You don't see that much in New Japan, though.
No. And plus, they've already set Omega up to... Omega's going to get the title on the 30th. That's what's going to happen.
Going to piss me off, because, I hope he drops it really quickly, but that's just
they can't do anything else, because from the 17th to the 24th, they've got Fantastica Mania, where everybody's tied up. And then it's the Road to New Beginning. I think that's the next show. I wrote it up today and I can't freaking remember it. But I think it's Road to New Beginning. And that's on the 30th. And that's it for this month. They don't have any other shows.
And why couldn't you have him drop it at the CMLL cross promotion show?
Who's he going to drop it to? They are teaming up with the CMLL guys to face off against. He doesn't have a singles match. These are multi-man matches with CMLL.
These are all, there's no singles matches at all on the card.
There are, but they are for the CMLL titles and a couple of the NWA titles. Well, this is basically CMLL show in Japan with a couple of New Japan guys thrown in for good measure.
On that basis, though, I wouldn't be upset with putting it on Kenny Omega, because really the angle that they've set up here is that Kenny Omega, on behalf of the rest of Bullet Club, is pissed off that they gave AJ Styles all these chances to bring back a title, and he failed. So Kenny Omega is going to take the ball here and is going to hit the slam dunk for the team. So it only makes sense that he completely clears out AJ Styles and anybody else from the Bullet Club that doesn't like the new direction that he's going in. And he's going to show that he's the leader of this group by going out there and taking this title on his first try in the heavyweights.
Yeah, and it makes sense with what was done at New Year Dash, with him pinning Nakamura, the whole kicking AJ out, the Young Bucks and Omega becoming quote unquote the Elite. There's already a t-shirt, by the way, for the Elite. Cause the Young Bucks don't let grass grow under that shit. But yeah, and if everybody else from the Bullet Club leaves, which it looks like they're doing, except for, Cody and the Sleaze, then you've got this built-in group already with the Bucks and Omega who have titles.
Yeah, I just kind of hope that he holds it for about as long as Goto did. I wouldn't even mind seeing Goto get the title back at some point. Kenny Omega's kind of an unproven commodity at this point, and I just don't see him as a credible threat to Nakamura. I see them pushing that, but again, I don't see him as a credible threat. It's going to look forced and it's going to look contrived, in my opinion.
Well, that's kind of what they did with New Year Dash. Let's try to make it look as credible as it can, given the fact that we have got a very small time frame to work with.
Yeah, and you had mentioned TNA earlier, too, and them never mentioning TNA. One thing I'd like to see New Japan do is do to TNA exactly what WWE just did to you. Go in there and raid TNA's talent. Raid some of these smaller promotions. Screw everybody over except for ROH and CMLL, because, yeah, keep your talent exchange with ROH. Call in some favors from CMLL. Get some luchadors up there. But, yeah, TNA, see if you can get a Bobby Roode. See if you can get... Oh, who the hell else do they have? Like Bobby
exactly,
Lashley.
Who else do they have?
Bobby Lashley. Who else could you sign that might actually get over in New Japan?
Eric Young?
Maybe, as a comedy wrestler.
I don't know. I mean, I quite like him as a serious wrestler. I mean, the comedy stuff that he's done off and on over the years is good, but I think he is really underrated for being a strong, serious wrestler.
But then also New Japan's got to look at guys that are right there, like Michael Elgin, that aren't signed. People they can get right now that are in their backyard. Are the Briscoes signed right now to ROH?
Yes, they are.
They are? Okay.
Red Dragon's not, but the Briscoes are.
So they could sign Red Dragon if they wanted to. They could sign Michael Elgin, guys who are kind of in their backyard, so to speak.
Plus, Fish and O'Reilly are great singles wrestlers.
As they proved in the Super Juniors tournament.
Yeah, they're great singles guys.
In Pro Wrestling Guerrilla.
Raid them, too.
Well, did you see that Dixie Carter kind of already made that kind of a comment about this?
She made the comment about WWE rating them, but she didn't say anything about New Japan.
Well, she didn't specifically say WWE. She kind of left that open where.
No, she said WWE. That was the quote in the AP.
Right. She said that, years ago that TNA was criticized for going after WWE talent, and now everybody else is going after TNA's talent.
And they come back because the grass is greener. I think she's delusional.
Well, yeah, she's delusional about the thought that she actually went and rated WWE for any talent. That, yeah.
I mean, Triple H told James Storm, hey, go back and take more money. That doesn't really count as coming back because the grass is greener.
Mm-hmm.
Well, the only thing greener is the bank account.
The money.
But I mean, I think the guys that haven't already jumped ship from TNA to WWE, the ones who don't see WWE as greener pastures, would see New Japan as greener pastures if they were offered money. And I think that New Japan could pull a highly successful raid of TNA talent if they wanted to.
Yeah, but how many people are going to want to go over there and give up that light schedule and leave their families and go halfway across the world for months at a time?
Depends on the kind of money they're throwing around.
Well,
I think there's probably a lot of interest, to be honest. I mean, they're willing to sacrifice a little bit of their schedule for a couple of years in exchange for the prestige that's going to put on their resume.
I mean, anything that makes TNA sink quicker, I'm all for. Not because I hate TNA, but I hate TNA's management and how they treat the talent. And the fact that the talent is kind of an afterthought for them. So anything that makes that promotion go downhill and saves the talent, I'm all for.
I will say there's value in it, though, because TNA, whether you like their management style or not, are the only ones that are going to offer the kind of money where your mid-card and upper-card guys that may not be the superstars on a WWE or New Japan main roster, your guys like the Cowboy James Storm, can leverage negotiations between the two and basically double their money by getting TNA to pony up more.
Yeah, but for how long?
For however long TNA manages to hang on. They're like cockroaches in a nuclear war. They're the only thing that doesn't die.
This is true. They do seem to have incredible staying power. Not real good staying power, but they can survive.
Exactly.
Which is why a talent raid would be great, because I too want to see them die. But there was one more point that I wanted to cover on New Japan, and then I'll be done with New Japan. But I had mentioned in English commentary and that I would get back to that later. So now I want to get back to English commentary. And Abby's kind of outside of the circle on this one. She watches the Japanese commentary. But I think with a lot of English-speaking fans seeing the talent jumping, you may see some of them starting to drop NJPW World subscriptions with these guys jumping. You need English commentary for the next few months on pretty much all of the major shows, maybe even some of the Road to shows. And you need to have the English commentators put over the guys that are there. If you bring guys in from Noah, have them put over the Noah guys, talk about their heritage, their lineage and whatnot. If you can replace Kevin Kelly and Yoshitatsu, do so. But I think keeping the English commentary around will save a lot of English speaking fans from dropping New Japan World.
Well, I almost think you need Kevin Kelly if you're going to do that then, because whether you like him or not, and I know you're not the biggest fan of him, Jason, Kevin Kelly is good at moving a storyline along and telling a story of what's going on.
I think Matt Stryker can do that just as well, too.
Probably
again, with Stryker, I like Stryker's personality, but he just goes off on tangents and makes shit up too often.
Yeah, his rhetoric is way too out there.
Yeah, and Stryker even admitted that on the air the other night.
So I don't think Mike Tenay is under contract to TNA anymore.
I don't either, but I don't think Tenay wants to do it full time anymore. I don't think he would go over to Japan and do it like.
The thing is, it wouldn't be full time.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, they have a very light schedule with the events. They do like Road to events and then they do the main events. I mean, you're talking about
2 or 3 shows a month.
Yeah, in a non-tournament month, you're talking probably like a maximum of 4 shows in a non-tournament. Like, if the G1's not going on to the Super Juniors or a tag league, you're talking like 4 shows maximum a month.
That have commentary.
Right.
The only way I could see them convincing him to do it would be if he could do it live by satellite.
Yeah, I mean, do a damn voiceover. I know Bushi Road has got to have an office here somewhere.
Somewhere. California.
Or an affiliate somewhere where they could bring him in.
Whatever happened to that anyway? I remember at one time New Japan had a dojo in California. Whatever happened to that?
The Inoki Dojo's still out there, I think, in L.A.
Okay. I thought it closed. I could be wrong.
I thought it was still out there.
It's on the opposite coast from me. I don't know.
Well, somebody listening to Thursday Night AMP right now, tell us if the New Japan Dojo is still in effect.
The hashtag, we'll talk more about that later.
Well, we probably won't talk more later tonight because we're approaching the 2-hour mark right now, so I think we might need to wrap it up. So,
I figured we had so much to talk about that we would no doubt hit that 2-hour mark, so that doesn't surprise me at all.
Yes, so cheap plugs time, veggiebending.wordpress.com, right?
That's my cooking blog, New Japan World, NJPWWorld.com, best 999 yen you can spend a month, which works out to what this month, Stevie? It's still $8.30.
You got it.
Alrighty, and yeah, on Twitter, at Great Sudoku, I do live tweet when New Japan gets their times on their website right for start times of events. If not, I wake up during intermission, but I still, live tweet. So even if I'm not writing a review for AngryMarks because I woke up halfway through the event, I'll still be online live tweeting, and Stevie can wake up in the middle of the night and catch that.
And speaking of live tweeting, that's one of the many things that Abbey does, but she's got so many more fine websites that she works for. We're going to let her plug them all here.
Let's see, Top Rope Press. I'm a writer there. I'm pretty much one of the only writers there these days that works full time. Ringside News. I do a weekly column for them. Pro Wrestling Authority. Yes, get New Japan World. Drop WWE Network for a month and just see what you're missing. Please do. And, buy Yano's CD and DVD.
Indeed. And since I never ask him to do it, I'm going to put him on the spot here. Mr. Producer, Killer Kev, do you have anything to plug?
No, I don't really have anything to plug this week. Just check out all the podcasts on AngryMarks.com. Enjoy all the work we're doing. We just got essentially the relaunch of the Impact Implosion that is now recorded Tuesday nights and will be up on the air Wednesday morning. So if you didn't check out the latest episode of TNA Impact, then check out Seth and Mike's Impact Implosion. Of course, we're doing that right after the Undisputed Wrestling Show, which is just knocking it out week after week with all the great guests that we've landed. Just keep checking that out as well. Raw Reaction on Monday nights with Angry Tenzai and Big Vic covering everything in Raw. And thank God they do it because I've just not had it in my heart personally to watch Raw or anything WWE in like the last month. So, thank God somebody out there is gutting it out on some of these wrestling companies.
Well, hopefully you'll have it back in you by the time the Royal Rumble rolls around, because if I know my Glove Up or Shut Up co-host Peter H., he is going to do the annual Royal Rumble pool. So let's just start plugging that right now since it's early in January and it's a few weeks away. If you want to be part of the 2016 Royal Rumble pool, we have 30 slots open. Get in your entries now. Either send your tweets at AngryMarks or at HardcoreCDN to enter into the pool. And with that, I think we're going to wrap it up. So thank you, Abbey. Thank you, Jason. Thank you, Kevin. Thank you for all listening to Thursday Night AMP. And if you want to know more about what's going on with New Japan and WWE, hashtag we'll talk about that later. Good night, everybody.
Too late to be forgiven. It's your time.